Here we go. Hello, everyone. Let me make certain my mic is working. Hopefully everything is working right now. I'm not certain. Don't know if I'll be able to make it onto Facebook or not. Let's see. I think I have the mic working. I've got my Restream chat up. So I've got you guys here. Let me double check across all panels to make sure we're up and running. How are you guys? What? That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Yes, there we go. Woohoo! Okay, how are you guys doing today? Are you guys doing great? All right, I finally got Facebook up, so we're good to go. What's up, guys? What's going on? What you doing? Happy Saturday. Let me put this off everywhere else where I can. Make certain everybody knows we're live now. Sweet. All right, so today, hello, including audio. Woohoo! What's up? Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. So today we are going to talk about illusion. You know, our brain does magnificent things and it freaks us out, and it can also cause us to do these little shortcuts that our brains go through. We're like, how is it that we're so easily fooled? Why is this a thing? You know, so I wasn't here last weekend because my throat was just, felt like somebody had taken a toilet brush and just like, you know, jabbed it all out. My poor throat last week. It was just painful. So this weekend, we're picking up last weekend's one topic. This was the topic that was voted for by everybody who wanted. Allergies were a close second. So just to let you guys know, next weekend I will be at NASA. NASA in Wallops, Virginia. So we will be live streaming there. I have to find out what the rules are for NASA. But next weekend, I will be doing the Science of the NASA Social. So NASA invited me out to Wallops, Virginia. I put in an application because they have a social event every 6 months. And so this particular one, they're like, hey, Scientist Mel, come on down. Watch a rocket launch. So this particular mission is a cargo mission to shoot a rocket up to the International Space Station to give all kinds of supplies and stuff. Good morning, day or evening, all from the Netherlands. Hello, hello, Bo. Hello, everyone. So I'll be streaming from NASA, hopefully next Saturday. If not, I will do a special show just on that. So the launch will happen on that Sunday at 5 in the morning. I will have to get there about 2:30 a.m. in order to get briefed on it and see all the workings of working up to a launch. And then I'll have the launch. But that Saturday, I'll be meeting all kinds of really cool people, scientists and engineers, and interacting with them. And I'm going to share all of that with you guys. So that's going to be great. So you can kind of get an idea of what's going on with NASA and stuff. So it'd be really, really awesome. So next Saturday, I'll be doing that. And the following Saturday, we're going to cover allergies. So thank you for your patience. And so I'm super glad to be here with you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So I have to give props out to Peter, aka Gonna Go For It, for that really awesome intro. And guys, guess what? Thank you. Next Thursday night is the very first episode of Spirited Science, where I will be talking about Darwin with PZ Myers, Evo PhD, Cy Gart, and Jackson Wheat. And we have the Darwin cocktail. So Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, this upcoming Thursday. Then Saturday is NASA. Woo! What an epic week. So I'm pretty excited about this. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about illusion. So what is illusion? Well, we're going to talk about what is it, what are the different types, how does it happen, are there advantages and are there disadvantages? Well, yes. And how is it that we're susceptible to these types of optical illusions? So essentially, illusions in general, they are a thing that is wrongly perceived or misinterpreted by the senses. So optical illusions essentially are a visual and brain disconnection to a degree. So I'm going to pop up an example of an optical illusion here and freak you guys out. And you've probably already seen this before. So if you stare at the center of the top image for about 30 seconds and then check out Van Gogh's Starry Night at the bottom. Now if you get dizzy, you might want to close your eyes for this part because sometimes this can induce a little bit of dizziness. So let me pop over here really quickly and say, okay, really quickly, if you're prone to vertigo and you're standing up right now, I should have given you like a warning about this. So if you're prone to vertigo and stuff, I'll give you a warning so you can like not look at your phone but listen. So you might want to sit down, or if you're prone to epilepsy, sometimes this can trigger epileptic type of seizures. I don't want you to look at this, okay? All right, avert your gaze. Okay, so I'm going to give you warnings before I throw out an optical illusion, just in case you're susceptible to different brain things. I'm not trying to get people seizures. That's why I popped off that picture really quickly. I don't want to induce any kind of problems for people. So I'm just letting you know. All right, so here we go. Now this is one of those classic illusions that we see. So you stare at the center of the screen and then we can sit there and stare at Van Gogh's Starry Nights afterwards. And then it starts to make this weird swirly type of feeling where Starry Nights comes to life. Your dog is epileptic. You'll be sure she doesn't watch. Oh goodness, your poor little puppy. Poor doggos don't need to go into seizures. But this is kind of one of those examples where our brains start to absorb a particular pattern and then that kind of transposes onto something else. So this is kind of a cool thing to do. So if you stare at it for about 30 seconds, long enough to kind of train your eyes, and then you move your eyes over to the Van Gogh image, it starts to come to life and swirl a bit. So that's a pretty cool thing that we can do and that our brains do in trying to make sense of the world and apply patterns to things. Interesting thing about Van Gogh, if you're not familiar with Starry Nights, scientists actually took his painting and they were able to sit there and say, hey, he understood wind currents. He could actually see wind currents. And so those particular swirls that we see are actually have been scientifically confirmed that those are indeed accurate wind currents. Van Gogh, super awesome guy. I don't even want to talk about that Doctor Who episode, guys. I don't want to talk about that. So, that makes me cry. The painting still moves even in your peripheral. That's right. Something that people don't realize, and I'll say this just really quickly because I do have a background a bit in film, and something that that we learned when I was taking a couple film classes is that the audience is trained. Your brain, you are trained as an audience to respond to certain ways. We're trained, we have this training throughout our lives. We hear scary music, ominous music. That's something to let us know something scary is going to happen. Or if we hear silly music, that's to let us know something silly is happening. Well, the same thing, this is how our brain kind of works with perceiving patterns in the world. We're able to take things that we've learned and apply it very quickly to a particular situation. This is how we're able to be fooled by optical illusions. This is how we're able to be fooled by seeing faces and things. We're going to talk about that too. And this is how we're able to be fooled by clustering illusion, looking for patterns in entirely random events. So moving back to this thing. All right, so our optical illusions, for example, are where our brain and our eyes kind of disconnect. And it's a bit of what we see in regards to something called brain shortcuts. So diving in a bit on this. Our brains are magnificent at working to make order out of chaos. Some of our inherent biases are associated with the brain's ability to put order where there is none, as well as recognize previously learned patterns. Our perception of reality also plays a role in how we are tricked and fooled by magicians. Magicians rely heavily on their knowledge of how the majority of people perceive reality in order to draw us into their illusionary world. Magicians know what our brains do in ordinary situations, turning the most mundane of acts into something extraordinary. Some magicians are against sharing their secrets of illusion. Others share as a way to boost critical thinking and show the world that their perception can be easily fooled, and what they believe to be true isn't really. Let's have a look at Penn and Teller as they show the 7 basics principles of magic. So let's check this one out. This is going to be cool.
This is not intended to glorify smoking. That said, looks simple, doesn't it? But when you're dealing with a master of sleight of hand, like my partner Teller, even the simplest activity may be a complex deception. Let's watch that routine again. Is he really crushing out a cigarette? Is he really adjusting his hat? Is he really pulling out a fresh cigarette? Is he really bothered by that itch in his left eye? Is he really just lighting a cigarette? To understand the complexity of Teller's life, you need to know the 7 basic principles of magic. 1, hold. To hold an object in an apparently empty hand. 2, ditch. To secretly dispose of an unneeded object. 3, steal. The opposite of ditch. To secretly obtain a needed object. 4, load. To secretly move the needed object to where it's needed. 5, simulation. To give the impression that something that hasn't happened has. 6, misdirection, to lead attention away from a secret move. And 7, switch, to secretly exchange one object for another. Teller needs nothing but a pencil, 1 lit cigarette, and a flashlight. Let's watch that original routine again, but this time from the other side. He palms the cigarette. He simulates crushing it out. He steals the palm-lit cigarette and ditches the lit cigarette in his ear. He exhales smoke to misdirect the smoke coming out from around his hat. he steals the pencil. He simulates taking the pencil, which is simulating a cigarette, the non-existent cigarette pack, and puts a simulated cigarette in his mouth. He rubs his eye to misdirect as he loads the burning cigarette from his ear. He simulates a lighter with a flashlight and switches the lit cigarette for the unlit pencil under cover of misdirection from the flashlight. Palm simulation, steal, ditch, misdirection, steal, simulation, misdirection, load, simulation, switch, misdirection. Looks simple, doesn't it?
How cool is that? Oh my gosh, how cool is that? So they basically show us in this particular video all of the different ways that they're able to distract you. Taking a mundane type of act, mundane acts of lighting a cigarette, and all of the different ways that can fool you into thinking that this is a cigarette. Where's the smoke coming from? So all of this is actually pretty freaking awesome. If you're not familiar, magic is a realm of study for neuroscience. It's called magicology. So in July 2008, Teller joined neuroscientists Stephen Macknick and Susanna Martinez-Conda to engage in what they call magicology, basically mining stage illusions to gain insight on how the brain functions. Teller, like other magicians or illusionists, as they like to be called, have an intuition as to how people perceive reality. People know they're going to be tricked, but they cannot stop the illusion. Magicians, in many ways, are engineers of boosting cognitive illusions. They are inherently and acutely aware of the limitations of the human brain. We as people cannot help but acknowledge what our perception in these illusions exist. But we will always be fooled. Our neuropathways reinforce our learned patterns, as this also has evolutionary advantage, which we will talk about. Let's look at another classic example, their cups and balls example. Even when they show us how it is done, it is still difficult to keep up with Teller, and we are still fooled. So let's have a look at this particular one.
Several years ago, we did a series of documentaries for television. We traveled all over the world seeing street magic, close-up magic in all different cultures. And just about everywhere we went, everybody did one trick the same. They did the cups and balls. Almost every magician we met did the cups and balls. And the trick around the world didn't change very much, but the props did. In India, they had these hand-carved wooden cups and these little flocked cork balls. In China, they had these metal cups that were handed down generation to generation. Patel and I were working for the United States of America, so we used red plastic cups, and then we used aluminum foil balls. So we had the totally American and totally disposable cups and balls. Well, it goes like this. You take the ball, place it in our hand, vanish it, it appears underneath the cup. That's the way it's done all around the world. You take the ball, you place it in your hand, you vanish it, and it appears underneath the cup. Here's a little variation Teller came up with, where he takes the ball, places it in his hand, then shows it underneath the cup, then it still appears underneath the cup. So you have 3 cups, 3 balls. Now take that center ball, puts it in the center cup, 2 side balls, put them wherever you want, they still regroup the center cup. I come over here, just a little tiny bit of juggling. There's a giant ball in the center cup, one more giant ball on either side, and of course for the finish, it's an American baseball. Now we had done the American cups and balls for a while. I want to kind of zoom in and do a Penn and Teller cups and balls, which involves breaking a few rules of magic. Now the first rule of magic is you never do the same trick twice. So we're gonna. Second rule of magic is you never tell an audience how a trick is being done. So we're going to tell you exactly how the trick is being done. The third rule of magic is you never let the audience see your secret preparation. They must not know what is hidden in which pocket. And the fourth rule of magic is unwritten, but we think any magician in the world would agree with us in a second, that you never ever do the cups and balls with clear plastic cups. So here's the Penn and Teller version of the cups and balls. We do the first ball, pretend to place in our hand, have already snuck underneath the first cup. Do the second ball, simultaneously secreted beneath the cup, put it place in our hand and show it. Do the third and final ball, pretend to place in our hand, pretend to show the cup, place it in the cup, then secretly secrete and reveal it. Now we're all set for the second half. The cup's all loaded, 3 balls on top. Send a ball, we send a cup. Each of the side balls, we put them away. We don't need any more. We have 3 duplicates. Send a cup and come over here. This is not juggling. This calls misdirection. For look over here, tells us his final ball under, 1 more to this side. And of course, for the finish, it's an American baseball right there. That's the Penn and Teller cups and balls.
Oh, goodness. All right. So what happened? Uh-oh. Oh, goodness. What? Something happened? What happened? Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, no. Stream unavailable for policy violations? Oh, goodness. Crap. Well, that's not cool. All right. Well, if it's still on for Periscope, hop over to the Periscope link. Oh, goodness. All right. So, looks like I have to go on YouTube and handle that. All right. Hop over to Periscope. Periscope is working. Hello. Ah, is it? Well, there's other people who posted it. Periscope is working. All right. We will finish on Periscope. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and hop over to Periscope, those of you who are still over there. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Am I back? Am I back on there? All right. Those of you who are still over there. Welcome back, everybody. What a weird thing. So what I will do for YouTube is claim fair use. And if I have to, I will just cut those videos out when it goes back up. So yeah, I'm here. Wow, what a weird thing. All right, so I'm back. Okay. Wow. See, I'm still learning this Periscope stuff, and it's strange, all of it. All right, so let's get back to illusion. No more Penn and Teller today. Yes, no more Penn and Teller today, but they are good examples, as I like the fact that Penn and Teller actively works to your YouTube stream is on replay, is it? Well, it says, I like the fact that Penn and Teller. Okay, I've still got it going. It's an illusion now. All right, so let's get back to illusion. The brain takes shortcuts. We generate patterns quickly. And our brains still have limitations in regards to what they can and cannot do. All right, we're still on YouTube. Yay. So what are the types of illusions that we're looking at? We have optical, apophenia, and in apophenia, we have pareidolia, which is seeing faces, and we also have what's called clustering illusion, where we find patterns in entirely random types of situations. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are optical illusions. Brains essentially kind of zoom out to get the big picture. This image was published in 1892 in a German humor magazine. Ludwig Wittgenstein used it to show two different ways we can perceive the same image. So if you're looking at these, you likely see two of the same things back to back. So you have either two ducks or two rabbits. So here in this case, we can perceive these particular things. Now, Kyle Mathewson, a neuroscientist at the University of Alberta in Canada, performed research showing about half of people who can't see a rabbit and a duck simultaneously. So you may be able to see both ducks or both rabbits, but about half of the people can't see a rabbit and a duck in the same image. You have to be told that. So this is particularly important in the fact that what we perceive may not necessarily be all of the ways for a particular thing to be happening. Duck season, rabbit season, yes. So, like I said, about half of people cannot see the duck and the rabbit at the same time. So our brains kind of take a little shortcut for this. And so it's important to realize that perspective and context is exceedingly important. Yes, you have to kind of force yourself. You can see both in the same image now, but you may not be able to see it right off the bat. Now, optical illusions are examples of the disconnect between your eyes, what they see, and what your brain perceives. This shows us that this visual network edits images into shortcuts to divide what is and isn't worth your attention. So this particular image isn't really spinning, it's a still image, but it's something that our brain kind of works to do. It's trying to have that movement there because normally this would be like a moving image or moving objects in our actual real life. So it looks like I'll have to edit out the Penn and Teller thing before, once this posts up, hey. But oh well, such is life. YouTube kind of makes it hard to be able to actually discuss and educate people when you're doing that. So yeah. So what we were doing in regard to optical illusions, yes, cognitive bias does play a big role in optical illusions. So that's a good question. The thing is our brains easily detect a few cues to make a decision about what we are seeing. Context is important, and this alone shows that we need multiple perspectives in order to deduce what the reality actually is. Our brains take shortcuts which provide some evolutionary advantage, especially when it comes to determining if something is a danger, a food item, or a friend. Quick decisions are not always necessary. Oftentimes, it is an advantage that is overused and confused for reality. Reality is not always what we perceive. Optical illusions and magic shows are classic examples of the limitations of our brains and the unknowing struggle many seem to have in thinking their eyes and brain are the best tools for making accurate judgments. All right. Now this particular one. Thank you, Bo, for claiming that the YouTube live stream was terminated too soon. So this particular one, these kind of go and, be careful with this one. All right, so another optical illusion. If your eyes, you get prone to migraines or stuff, you might not want to look. So I'm going to show you another one. Be careful, Periscope lag too much. I'm sorry. All right, so here, this particular one, this is called the Zollner illusion. It takes advantage of what we call lateral inhibition. Our brains expand the acute angles in this particular image, and lateral inhibition essentially is where neurons responsible for this line processing of going different directions, they fire off, thus turning off the activity of surrounding neurons. So the surrounding neurons that would correct for this skew that we're seeing in this image are shut off. This explanation does not work for other types of illusions, but it is satisfying nonetheless, at least for this one. This reminds you of concertina wire. Okay. Here's another one. Now let's talk about apophenia in regards to finding patterns in faces. So this one is called pareidolia. Pareidolia. So if you're not familiar with that, it's pretty cool. So here is water buffalo at the dentist. So that's the dentist light, but we see a water buffalo there. Now this is via a Twitter account called Faces and Things, aka FacePics on Twitter. So we naturally try to find patterns in things in regards to faces. So what does this mean? All right, well, Doris Tsao, T-S-A-O-U, if I say this wrong, I'm sorry. She studied the brains of certain subjects to see if they process faces differently from other objects. What she found is that the same areas of the brain light up when people are shown images of actual faces and images of objects that had some semblance of faces. These areas did not light up when shown objects with no face-like characteristics. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you would have never guessed it was a light, but that was a dentist light. Yes, I'm about to talk about why people find Jesus in toast. I'm actually about to talk about that. So when we see an image with some semblance of a face, we also fire off the same parts of our brain as if we are looking at an actual face of a living thing, for example. The face on the moon, cloud shapes. All of those things. Now, let's talk about, let's see. Here's another example. Sorry. Boy, this box has had a rough night. Ooh, still getting over stuff. So, I don't know if this box has had one too many or if it just partied too hard. You know what I mean? Sorry. So, what does all this mean? Well, why do we see these things? He needs a shave. See? Oxytocin is linked to seeing faces and things. Oxytocin is responsible for eliciting feelings. So when we see faces and things, that oxytocin fires off and we get feelings, right? So seeing faces and things is often what we encounter when people see Jesus in toast or the Virgin Mary in a potato chip. Since faces of things and people we love are linked to deep emotion, seeing faces of these people and inanimate objects can boost oxytocin levels, giving that wonderful, profound feeling that we have. While many animals recognize patterns in faces, humans seem to add some kind of symbolic nature to these patterns. Hence, cognitive biases, right? We are wonderfully flawed. Our brains are magnificent, but we still are subject to all kinds of different biases, faces and places. So here is an example of clustering illusion. Random points are popping on. Just this computer simulation is randomly putting points on here. And so what happens is this is going through and putting random points on here. Our eyes will try to find patterns in this. We will see patterns. Now, this particular thing is, yeah, our brains are magnificently flawed. That's right. This particular thing can be kryptonite for scientists, especially if they're trying to find some kind of trends in particular types of occurrences. So scientists have to be very, very careful that they don't allow their brains to become susceptible to these particular clustering illusions, trying to find patterns where there isn't any. This is also called the gambler's fallacy. Gambler's fallacy is where they try to think that if they're on a roulette wheel, that it's been hitting red all night, it's got to hit black, it's red even all night, it's got to hit black odds soon. That's a fallacy. That's thinking that the odds are it's got to hit black. No, the odds are always the same because it's an entirely random event. So that's something that scientists have to be very, very careful about. And the way that they overcome that is through multiple forms of instrumentation. They help you be able to determine whether or not things are linked if there is a pattern there. Did you look into if people who suffer from prosopagnosia, face blindness, see faces in random images? I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look into a bit more about that, but I can look it up some and then throw that onto Twitter if you like. I'll make a note of it. Shoot me a tweet if you're on Twitter, Exodus. You saw a unicorn's head. That is a great question. That is a great question. So scientists overcome this particular bias by using multiple forms of instrumentation, which is quite helpful. Would you say that these illusions are the aftermath of our evolved fight or fight instinct? For example, it's best to run when you think you see a predator rather than waiting to determine. Yes. I do have to agree there is evolutionary advantage. So that's kind of where and I talk about this a little bit when I talk about flat earthers. You have two sides of your brain. You have the side of your brain that is, the instinctual side, and you have the the rational side. The instinctual side will be like, here's a stick that breaks in the woods. And you're like, oh my God, a stick broke, I'm in danger. Your rational brain will be like, but the stick break sounds like it was a squirrel, not a bear, you're safe. So that's kind of where our biases can run wild. So that's something that we do have to keep in check. So people who are conspiracy theorists have that other survival, oh my gosh, part of their brain on overload. And the more rational side that's like, hey, you're not gonna die, it's okay, tends to not be as loud. So that is a real problem in regard to that. So what are our takeaways from this? First of all, my takeaway is that I'm going to probably have to handle the Penn and Teller thing, or put on there that it's fair use, because I think it's fair use. So I'll have to sort that out for YouTube and find out what's going on. Secondly, hello everyone. Our brains, so what do we take away from all of this? Our brains work to make order out of chaos. Our brain's shortcuts help us recognize patterns we are familiar with, food, faces of friends, enemies. It has evolutionary benefit, however, it is also a crutch and a limitation. It is important we recognize that our perceived reality is not always fact. Multiple instruments and context is exceedingly important in order to determine what is actually happening. Bias is how we are subjected to optical illusions, being fooled by magic, finding faces in objects, feeling love for inanimate things that look like people we love, and making hasty decisions without fully fleshing out all perspectives. Bias isn't inherently bad, but if left unchecked, well, you are just fooling yourself. So, I'm going to show you all of my sources. These are all links, so I'm going to tell you in advance about these links. So, just let you know, there's about 16 links here. But fear not, you can go to my website, scientistmel.com, and download all of my slides. If you don't have a Microsoft product, you can go to OpenOffice, download their suite for free, and still gain access to all of my slides, including my sources. So here are all my sources. I went through and I've compiled a whole lot of them. The article that there's academic journals articles here, there's regular articles, there's all kinds of different studies. 16 links, that's all. But you can check out all of the different information that I dug through to present to you here, right on here. And it's on my website, scientistmel.com, so I won't make you try to write down all those links. You can just check them out there. You got this. I am very, very thorough in what I do here. So just to give you guys a little bit of background for me, the failing New York Times. I actually subscribe to the New York Times and Science Magazine, I believe. Just to let you know, I get up about 6:30, 7 o'clock every Saturday morning, and I spend my entire morning, because usually that's the only time I have to do my show. I'll spend my entire Saturday morning up into pressing live streaming, working on just this content. Now, if it's a particularly hard concept, that's something that I'm not fully versed in, it takes a bit longer, and I usually start that earlier in the week, or at least try to prep myself with other materials to make certain I fully understand the concept. So this morning I got up about a little before 7 a.m. and I immediately sat down and worked on this. So I spent over 3 hours just trying to prep everything together, making certain all of the sources are reputable. So I put a lot of time into this. I have pre-formatted types of, things as far as my slides and stuff like that. But I do spend a huge amount of time trying to get this together between this, my Spirited Science show, which the first episode airs next Thursday at 8 p.m. So at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, where I will have PZ Myers, Evo PhD, Cy Gart, Jackson Wheat, and myself all talking about Darwin. And I have the Darwin cocktail recipe. So if you do imbibe on the spirits, you can join in on the fun. I will be live streaming on Periscope, YouTube, as well as Facebook with this particular show. So I'm so glad you guys are here, and I'm glad that you got to hop on here. I guess I'll have to address the Penn and Teller thing on YouTube because I get in trouble sometimes, but to me I think that's fair use, right? So this is illusion. Yeah, so some of the live stream was terminated due to copyright, but if you are on Periscope, you should be able to. If it's easier if you have like a Wi-Fi setup, you can watch it there. So what is it? What are the types? How does it happen? And if you are on Facebook, facebook.com/scientistmel, you can check out the entire stream there because Facebook is not as raw as YouTube, and so is Periscope. So I have those in place in the event something like that happens. Yay! So we talked about what it is, what are the types, how does it happen, advantages and disadvantages, that sort of thing. I'm a bit of an illusionist. You're seeing like a background here. This whole room is supposed to be a dining room. Shh, it's my nerd cave. It's my nerd cave where I've got all of my collectibles and stuff. This was supposed to be a dining room, but it's not. It's my nerd cave. But I set it up to where I have a cool background. So I'm going to take a moment to thank my patrons. And if you are a patron, guess what? You're going to get your own access to various NASA stuff next Saturday. I'm going to have little videos I'll be uploading on Patreon for my patrons. So I want to thank Tony, James, Lauren, Jen, Carl, Melanie, Patrick, Daniel, Paula, Tim, Carrie, Cersei, Keith, Zachary, Tony, Graham, Dragnot, Godless Iowan, Jennifer, Corey, and Heavy. You guys help me keep the lights on. My pledges start at just $1 a month. The higher end pledges get artwork. They get freebie stuff as well. So if you can buy me a coffee each month, it's just $1 a month. They also get early access to my audio podcasts when I do upload them. I have an episode I still have to edit, and it's #HeyScientistMel. So thank you to my patrons. You help me out a lot. You can find me everywhere on the internet. Scientistmel.com. You can go to my website if you get confused about any of the other places. Just navigate my particular website. You can find me on Patreon, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. All Scientist Mel. That's how you can find me. So this has been the science of illusion. So I want to thank you guys for being here. It's like a good flat 45 minutes for this particular one. And if for whatever reason, YouTube, I might have to cut out the Penn and Teller videos. If you go to facebook.com/scientistmel, you can find it there. If you go to Periscope, if you go to Periscope Scientist Mel, you Google that, you can find it there as well, all in its full glory without any kind of concern. MySpace. I don't have MySpace. Excuse me. And don't forget, next Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, my very, very, very first episode of Spirited Science, where me and science enthusiasts, including scientists and educators from time to time, all sit around and talk about a particular scientist and or scientific concept. Thursday, it's Darwin. Our very first episode is about Darwin. Well, I will have Peasy Myers, Evo PhD, Syagart, and Jackson Wheat. We all sit around and talk about Darwin while enjoying an adult beverage, if you so imbibe. If not, have a soda or a tea or a water, whatever you like. So, if you have questions, hit me up on Twitter. Use my hashtag HeyScientistMel. That's the easiest way to get me because my ats fill rapidly. So, yes, I'm excited. I love Amanda Glaze. I've did a podcast episode of Hey Scientist Mel with her. Stephen, sweet. We can talk about rocks. I will let you know. We'll get together either a scientist or a rock type of concept, and I'll have you on the show. If you want to be on my Spirited Science show, you don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to be a science communicator or educator. You just have to like science and want to learn something. So if that's something you're interested in, woohoo! Swing on by and message me and we can have a chat about it. Oh, yay, Blind Watchmaker. I'm excited that you're going to be there even though it's 4 a.m. Probably not a good idea to have the Darwin cocktail that early, unless, that's just how you roll. No judgment here. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Thanks so much for popping on. Yeah, you can join in. I've already got Darwin booked for that Thursday, but if there's a talk that you want to be a part of, if there's like a scientist you want to talk, I'd try not to go more than like four or five people total for each individual talk, because I find it's a lot easier to navigate. So I can get you in on another talk if you like. So we can talk about, upcoming topics will be Katherine Johnson, Rosalind Franklin, Tesla. I think I have one more person I need to set up for my Tesla panel. And I need to set up Katherine Johnson, our NASA lady. So I need to kind of get that together. And then I'm going to start planning Rosalind Franklin as well. I've already got the Katherine Johnson cocktail. So yes, you want to be on Tesla? Okay, I will give you a topic for Tesla, and you will be my third person to round out my four for the Tesla talk, which will be 2 weeks from next Thursday. So sweet, Tesla it is, anti-ordinary. So I've got 2 other people on that talk. You'll be my third. Me makes 4, and we're golden for that one. So if you guys don't have any questions, you're looking forward to the nerdy NASA content. Yay! That's next Saturday. And then the following Saturday, I will be covering allergies because it's almost tied several times in a row now. So allergies is going to get a boost. Well, hopefully the content, not actual allergies. We don't want people actually getting more allergies, but we should learn about them, right? I'm so excited. So I'll be driving out to Wallops, Virginia next Friday, early morning. If you're on Patreon, you'll get behind the scenes stuff and extra footage. Patreon.com/scientistmel. You'll have little snippets of the entire experience while I will be there. So that'll be helpful too. So yay! So I'm excited you guys are here. Thank you for being here with me. And I appreciate all of your time, and I'm glad that you guys get to be here with me and we get to talk science every morning. If someone steals your Tesla, is it now called an Edison? Yes. What time is the NASA stream? Well, next Saturday, I will be in the middle. I've got the itinerary already. I'm not certain. Let me look at what I might have to do, because I'll be full on Saturday. Let me see. It starts at 8 a.m. and it is not done until 4:45. What I may do, I might be able to stream during lunch. From noon to 12:50, I will do a live stream, a formal live stream halfway through the science day next Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'll have about 50 minutes before I have to go to another briefing. So, wait, hold on. 12 p.m. That's not Central, that's Eastern. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 Central. Okay, so 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be streaming live next Saturday. I'll put a note out on all of the interwebs so you guys will know it will not be 10 a.m. Central like it normally is. It will be noon Eastern for a stream of what I'm doing so far with NASA and talking to you about that. I do have a way to stream from my iPad, so I won't have to take my whole laptop, but I'll take all of this with me, and hopefully I'll be able to have a formal stream on that Sunday after the launch. So after the launch, Sunday morning, I'll be able to have an actual sit-down stream as well. So there you go, 6 p.m. CET. There you go. That will be noon Eastern next Saturday, live from NASA. Lunch. If they let me stream, I think they will. I don't see why not. Worst case scenario, it'll be after the launch on Sunday. But if you're on Patreon, I'll be making little videos and uploading those directly through the app. I'm thinking they'll allow me to stream off and on, and if I can, then I'll be able to do that. I need to see what's going on with that. But that'll be cool. It'll be cool, and it's gorgeous out there. It's going to be Wallops, Virginia, at a closed base. It's not accessible to the public, so the little girl in me that couldn't go to like space camp because I couldn't afford it is really excited right now. Time zones are a big issue, yes. So noon Eastern. That's just Google that in reference to the time zone that you're in, and then that Sunday around 9 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern, I will stream again. So, yay! Well, thank you guys for being here. And I'm looking forward to sharing NASA with you next weekend. And next Thursday is Spirited Science, where the first scientist we talk about is Darwin. Yay! They do allow streaming all day. Yay! So I will be able to stream all day if I need to. Fantastic! And if you're not on my Patreon, check it out. It's just $1 a month to start, and you'll get behind the scenes extra access to footage and stuff, because my patrons help me keep the light on here and do what I do. So I got new lights because of them. I have a new camera because of them. I'm able to upgrade my tech. I'm able to have a website and get the message out there. So, well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are here. And I'm going to head off now. Check out other wonderful creators. Check out who I subscribe to and go look at their channels. And, and I'll see you Thursday night for Spirited Science with PZ Myers, Evo PhD, Jackson Wheaton, Sygart, where we all sit around and talk about Darwin. It's going to be fabulous. So I'm excited. And NASA after that. Woohoo! Have a fantastic Saturday. And squishy science hugs to you. And thank you for being here.